Daf Yomi, Tractate Sanhedrin, 17b, at the top of the page. Just to review the subject that we were in from the last line of 17a, Rav Yehuda says that Rav says they place on the Sanhedrin only the one who knows how to render a carcass of a creeping animal pure by Torah law. Obviously, a creeping animal is not pure, but he has to be so smart that he has to be so skilled in logical reasoning that they could even produce a convincing argument that creeping animals, which the Torah states explicitly are ritually impure, are actually pure. Rav said, I will discuss the halacha of the creeping animal and render it pure. And Rav is saying that I'm able to demonstrate how it is possible to construct such a proof. And now that brings us to 17b, with the words Uma Nachash Shemei Misumara Betumah Tahor Sheretz She'eno Memis Umara Betuma Eno Din She'etar Vilohi Midi Have Akos Be'alma. So Rav's interesting proof that from a Kal V'chomer, he's saying if a snake which kills other creatures whose carcasses are impure and thereby increases impurity in the world, is itself nevertheless pure, as it is not included in the list of impure creeping animals. Then, concerning a creeping animal that does not kill and does not increase impurity, isn't it logical that it should be pure? I don't know that a sheretz isn't a scorpion a sheretz? I could kill, but maybe it's not. I don't know. Anyway, the argument is rejected, but it is not so. The logic of the halacha of a creeping animal is just as it is concerning the halacha with regard to an ordinary thorn, which can injure people or animals, and can even kill, and thereby increase impurity, but is nevertheless pure. It is therefore apparent that this consideration is not relevant to the halachot of impurity. Amar Rav Yehuda Barav Kol ir she'ein ba shnaim ledaber ve'achad lishmoa ein moshivim ba Sanhedrin. I wonder why sometimes it says Sanhedrin and Sanhedrin. Oh, Sanhedrin is the lesser Sanhedrin, I think. Sanhedrin. Ube Beitar Havish Loisha Uyavna Arba Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yehoshua, Rabbi Akiva, Shimon HaTimni, Dan Lifnehem Bekarka. Rabbi Yehuda says that Rav says, with regard to any city that does not have among its residents two men who are able to speak all 70 languages, and one additional man who is able to listen to and understand statements made in all the languages, even if he cannot speak all of them, they do not place a lesser Sanhedrin there. The members of the Sanhedrin do not all need to know all of the languages, but there must be at least this minimum number. And in Beitar, there were 3 individuals who were able to speak all 70 languages, and in Yavne, there were 4, and they were Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yehoshua, and Rabbi Akiva, and Shimon HaTimni, who was not an ordained sage, and he would therefore deliberate before the other judges while seated on the ground, not among the rows of the sages. Meisve shlishis chochma rabis ein lemal hamena had amar ki hai tana titania shnia chochma shlishis ein lemal hamena. The Gemara raises an objection to this from a Braita. A third, meaning a Sanhedrin that has 3 individuals who can speak all 70 languages, is a wise Sanhedrin. And if it also has a 4th such person, there is no court above it, meaning that there is no need for additional language experts. Apparently, the minimum requirement is 3 people who can speak the languages, not 2. The Gemara answers, Rav states his opinion in accordance with the opinion of the following Tana, as it is taught in a Braita, a Sanhedrin, that has a second language expert is wise, and if it also has a third, there is no court above it. Lemidin lifnei chachamim, Levi merabi, Dinin lifnei chachamim, Shimon ben Azai, v'Shimon ben Zoma, v'Chanan hamitzri, v'Chananya ben Chachinai. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak masni chamisha, Shimon, v'Shimon, Chanan v'Chananya. Since the Braita stated that Shimon and Timni would deliberate before them on the ground, the Gemara now lists various standard formulations used to introduce the statements of various sages throughout the generations. If a source says it was learned from the sages, the intention is that this was a statement made by the sage Levi, who sat before and learned from Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. Levi, who sat before and learned from Yehuda Hanasi. If it says they deliberated before the sages, this is referring to Shimon ben Azai, Shimon ben Zoma, and Hanan the Egyptian, and Hananya ben Hachinai. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak would teach 5 names for this list: Shimon ben Azai, Shimon ben Zoma, Shimon Atimni, Hanan the Egyptian, and Hananya ben Hachinai. So Shimon, Hanan, and Hananya. Raboteinu shebebabel, Rav uShmuel. Raboteinu shebet Yisrael, Rabbi Abba. Dayani goyla Karna. Dayani de Yisrael, Rabbi Ami, Rabbi Asi. Dayani de Pumbedita, Rav Papa bar Shmuel. Dayani de Narda, Rav Ada bar Minyomi. Sabe de Sura, Rav Huna v'Rav Chizda. Sabe de Pumbedita, Rav Yehuda v'Rav Eina. Charife de Pumbedita, Efa v'Avimi bar Rachava. Amorai de Pumbedita, Rabba v'Rav Yosef. Amorai de Narda, Rav Chama. The expression "our rabbis" that are in Babylonia is referring to Rav and Shmuel. The expression "our rabbis that are in Eretz Yisrael" is referring to Rabbi Abba. The expression "the judges of the diaspora" is a reference to the sage Karna. Dayani de Gol is Karna. The phrase "the judge of Eretz Yisrael" is a reference to Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi. The phrase "the judges of Pumbedita" is referring to Rav Papa bar Shmuel, who was the head of the court there, and the judges of Narda is a reference to the court headed by Rav Ada bar Binyomi. The term "the elders of Surah" is referring to Rav Huna and Rav Chizda, and the elders of Pumbedita is referring to Rav Yehuda and Rav Eina. The sharp ones of Pumbedita are Efa and Avimi, the sons of Rechava. The expression "the Amoraim of Pumbedita" is referring to Rabba and Rav Yosef. The phrase "Amoraim of Narda" is referring to Rav Chama. Nehar Belai Matnu. Nahar Belai Matnu Rama Barbarabi. Amri Birav Rav Huna. Fiam Rav Huna Amri Birav. Amri Birav Ela Rav Hamnuna. Amri Bimarava. Rabbi Yirmiyah Shalchu Mitam Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. Machachu Ala Bimarava Rabbi Yalazo. If it says the sages of Nahar Bala taught, this is referring to Rami bar Barabi. And the statement "they say in the school of Rav" is reference to Rav Huna. The Gemara asks, but doesn't Rav Huna sometimes say, with regard to a given halacha, "they say in the school of Rav"? From this, it is apparent that a statement introduced by that formula cannot be made by Rav Huna himself, as Rav Huna quotes someone else with that introduction. The Gemara responds, rather, the expression "they say in the school of Rav" must be referring to Rav Hamnuna. The formula they say in the West, meaning Eretz Yisrael, is referring to Rabbi Yirmiyah. The expression they sent a message from there, meaning from Eretz Yisrael, is referring to Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. And the statement they laughed at it at the West means that Rabbi Elazar did not accept a particular opinion. Shalach The Gemara asks, but in one instance, it is reported that they sent a message from there that began. According to the statement of Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, this indicates that the expression they sent from there, is not itself a reference to a statement of Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. The Gemara answers rather reverses statements. The phrase they sent from there is a reference to Rabbi Elazar. They laughed at it in the West means that Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina did not accept a particular opinion. V'chama yehe be'ir v'yehe ru'ui l'Sanhedrin 120 ayavidite 23 כנגד סנהדרי קטנו ושלוש שורויס של 23 הרי 99 ועשור הבטלונין של בית הכנסת הרי 103. The Mishnah teaches, and how many men must be in the city for it to be eligible for a lesser Sanhedrin. The opinion of the first Tana is that there must be 120 men. The Gemara asks, what is the relevance of the number 120? The Gemara explains that 23 are needed to correspond to the number of members of the lesser Sanhedrin, and it is necessary for there to be 3 rows of 23 students who sit before the lesser Sanhedrin to learn and also to advise them. That is a total of 92 people. And since there also needs to be 10, what they call idlers, batlonin, meaning people who sit and learn all day. Idlers in the synagogue, people who are free from urgent work and are always sitting in the synagogue to take care of its repair. Okay. It's different here. Here they say take care of its repair and other needs of the public. That would be 102. Ushne soifrim, ushne chazonin, ushne baledinin, ushne edim, ushne zoimimin, ushne zoimimin haimea v'albalso. In addition, there are 2 scribes required for the Sanhedrin and 2 bailiffs and 2 litigants who will come to be judged. And there are 2 witnesses for one side and 2 witnesses who could render those witnesses conspiring witnesses by testifying that they were elsewhere at the time of the alleged incident. And 2 additional witnesses could testify against the witnesses who render the first witnesses conspiring witnesses, rendering the second pair conspiring witnesses. All of these are necessary in order for a trial to take place, as it is described in Deuteronomy chapter 19, verses 15 through 21. Therefore, there are so far a total of 114 men who must be in the city. V'tanyo, and it is taught in a Braisa, kol ir she'ein ba asara devarim, halalu ein talmid chacham rashai ladu betocha. בית דין מקין ועונשין בקופה של צדוקו נגבס בשניים ובמחלקת בשלושה ובייס הכנסת ובייס המרחץ ובייס הכיסא רויפה ואומן ולבלר וטבח ומלמד תינוקות משום רבי עקיבא אמרו אף מיני פרו מפני שמיני פרו מאירן עיניים. It is taught in Bright that a Torah scholar is not permitted to reside in any city that does not have these 10 things. A court that has the authority to flog and punish transgressors, and a charity fund for which monies are collected by 2 people and distributed by 3, as required by halakha. This leads to a requirement for another 3 people in the city, and a synagogue, and a bathhouse, and a public bathroom, a doctor, and a bloodletter, and a scribe to write sacred scrolls, and necessary documents, and a ritual slaughterer, and a teacher of young children. With these additional requirements, there are a minimum of 120 men who must be residents of the city. They said, in the name of Rabbi Akiva, the city must also have varieties of fruit, because varieties of fruit illuminate the eyes. Rabbi Nechemia Omer, Tanya, Rabbi Omer, the Mishnah teaches that Rabbi Nechemia says there must be 230 men in the city in order for it to be eligible for a lesser Sanhedrin, corresponding to the ministers of tens appointed in the wilderness by Moses at the suggestion of his father-in-law Yitro. See Exodus 18:21. Each member of the Sanhedrin can be viewed as a judge with responsibility for 10 men. It is taught in a Braita, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi says,